today we are going to take a brief look at work orders. Work orders is awesome. It's something that's really kind of evolved, especially over the last year or so. And like I said, with Autodesk coming aboard, there's going to be more to add. Even if you aren't eventually going to use the Autodesk integration, because we are integrating with them, it's going to require some really awesome enhancements to the native work orders tool, and we'll talk about those more as the To-Do integration becomes or comes to fruition and we roll that out. So there's a lot more coming down the pike, but today we'll kind of review the work orders module as it's built and ready to go today. We're logged into the system here on this test account. Now, as everybody knows, the way you get into work orders, you're going to come down here to modules and you'll click into work orders. Now, there's some kind of foundational work that you'll want to do first as you are getting this set up, or if you haven't had this set up previously. And you'll want to go and you'll want to set up services. And I'll show you why here momentarily. Before we hop into it, there's a big announcement when you log into work orders. You can see at the top of the screen here. A lot of our stores are paying commissions on work orders. They pay their technicians based on commissions, the work that they're getting done. And so we're changing the way that the system tracks that. So you can see the announcement here. You need to have every technician set up as a user in the system. Okay, so not just a name on a work order anymore. They need to be a user. And this gives us the flexibility we need to be able to push out commission tracking for you. Okay, so make sure that you have that done before May 30th. I think May 30th is the date here. This is kind of the drop dead date. You'll want to have your technicians converted into users by May 30th as we're going to make that change. Okay, so just one piece of housekeeping there on the work orders. Okay, so let's hop into it here. So as you log into work orders, right at a glance, you can kind of see really everything that you're currently working on in shop. The idea here is to give your intake personnel or your customer service folks the ability to just have a general idea on what's going on with work order service and repair. So if they're fielding phone calls or someone stops in, they want to just check up on what's going on with their instrument or what have you, your kind of frontline people should be able to pull this up and right from the screen have a good idea as far as what's going on. So they'd be able to tell McKinley, hey, we've got your item in. It's not been started yet. It's not in process or anything like that. So again, just at a glance, you can kind of see everything that's going on. There are some bulk action tools. So if you have got a customer who has different work orders in here and you want to push them all over to the same ticket, this comes in particular use if you're using customer purchase orders or what some other systems refer to as a master ticket. Being able to select multiple orders and push them over into the register at once is a big deal. And so you're able to do that through this bulk tool right here. So all you would do there is, I don't have any of these in a state where we could move them over, but you would just be able to check the box, come over to this bulk actions, and then you can add to the register, move them all over there at one time. You do have some filters at the top here. So as you can see, you can search by specific customer, status, work order ID number, date range filters here as well. So you're able to see, parse out or separate the information based on that, multiple location service, and then you can filter by technician status and then some text message information here too. Okay. Now, to start a work order, all you're going to do, you've got a couple different places you can do that. You can see from the main screen. So if you're working in the till, you could just come over here to this create new and click on work order. Same thing if you're logged into work orders, you can always hit this add new button. Okay. So this pulls up the actual work order input. So again, this is where your intake specialist would be as they're adding information. Some of the recent changes we've had here is multiple job tracking on one item. So you do have that available, and we'll talk to you about that here on the webinar. But the very first thing you're going to do is bring in the customer. If they're a brand new customer, you can click this button here. It will pull up the add customer module here as well. But for our purposes today, we're just going to use Tyler. My name is Taylor. This is not me. This is Tyler. Okay. So we're going to pull up Tyler here. Now, one thing I want to add here is you've got this customer this customer history, and this breaks down into two different ways. So if I click into this, two things pop up. So you can see past work orders and purchase history. So the difference is purchase history will pull in any serialized item regardless if they, whether or not they've had this item serviced previously. Okay. So any serialized item that has been purchased at your store through Music Shop 360 is going to populate right here. Okay. It has to be serialized. Now, the idea here is all you do is you click the button or click on the item. That one actually didn't have the make and model, but let me do that. Let me pull in a different one. I think this one does not as well, but I'll show you what the idea is, and that's the way I have those products set up. But if you click into the item, this one had it in there. So this is all based on how you have the item set up. If you've got it set up with the manufacturer, SKU, and serial number, then it's going to backfill that information for you. Okay. So just keep that in mind. That's going to be kind of a shortcut for you. An easy workaround is use that tool, pull up the product, click into the product, and it's going to backfill make, model, and serial number for you. This past work orders, this essentially brings in any item that's been serviced in the store. So whether or not it was purchased from you or purchased elsewhere, it doesn't matter. This section, this would bring up any serialized item that you've worked on at the store in the past. Okay, so that's kind of the difference between the two. Now, we've got our item put in there. We do have this new field, this declared value. So if you want to start tracking some of the declared value of the item, you can do that here as well. One other tool that we recently rolled out, and we can talk about this momentarily, is but the ability to take multiple deposits on a job. Now, frequently, the only time that you would be taking a deposit on the job is if the cost of the job is more than the value of the instrument itself. But just be aware, we do have the ability to add multiple deposits if you'd like to do that. Okay, now what we'll do, we're ready to start inputting information about the job. So this is all free form. You can come in here, you can add as much information in here as you'd like. You can go ahead and select a technician again. This is going to change here over the next couple of weeks. Say Joe's our technician today. And from this point, you can start manually adding services. Okay, so I think I've got a restring in here. So it would pull up like the service and pull in products that you're using. Here's our different services. This is where I should have clicked, but this would populate all those and string replacement, right? So if you do that, it's going to pull in cost information. You can add that to the job. This is all the long way of doing it, but you do need this flexibility. If you get kind of a one-off job that comes in, you need the ability to come in here and just kind of freeform a job. Okay, so you do have that. Now, the much easier way to go about this is to set up job templates. So where you would access those is right here. So for example, this basic setup, right? So I've got a number in here, but you can come in here and set up the job templates. I'll click in basic setup. Now you can see what the difference is it pre-fills this information for me. So it gives me a summary. I've got this just kind of listed out as telling the technician what they need to get done. A lot of people actually like to make this bullet point so the technician can kind of just work down a list, but you do that however you'd like. You'll still want to select the technician. That's not going to pre-fill based on the template. But the other cool thing that the template does is it brings in the items, the materials that you're going to use for the job as well as the services. Okay, so you can see there's the service, and then this is the material that we've decided that goes along with the this template. Now, these are always customizable. You can add and take away from this. So maybe I'm not doing the set of strings, I'm doing a different one. I could certainly just take this out, remove it by clicking on the three dots here. You can delete it and then add additional products or services here as well. So you can always modify the templates as you go, but working on the templates is going to be a big deal. Bin location, this just refers to where you're storing the product or the shelf or location on the shelf. So feel free to use that as you'd like as well. Okay. Now you're not restricted from doing more. So we do encourage you to kind of keep these jobs separate. So let's say this job one is a basic setup, but in addition to the basic setup, we are also doing a refret. Probably not an instance that occurs a lot that you need to do a refret on a basic setup as well as a basic setup. But hey, maybe it would happen. That's our example today. Okay. So you can see, again, kind of same idea. You can have multiple jobs. You can also select a different technician for the second job. So if it's the same item that's come in, but has different things from different specialists, then you can go ahead and designate that in the system, and they'll kind of track as separate jobs within one work order. All right. Let me go ahead and kind of explain some other items here. So deposits are not required, but this is where you would go and you would add a deposit if you'd like to do that. Internal comments, these all stay in-house. These aren't things that get shared or passed over to the customer. So make sure you're aware of the distinction here. These receipt comments, these do populate on the customer's work order ticket that you're going to give to them. So no no funny business in the receipt comments here because your customer is going to see it. So keep those for the internal comments, or don't do them at all, even better. Text contact. So what this is your customer needs to have text message functionality turned on. So this gives you the ability, or your technicians come in here and fire out a message. When the customer replies back, it's going to log all those messages right here as well. You'll have kind of a running conversation that will be stored to the job. Now, the reason why I mentioned that is because there's some additional functionality in there as we go to close out this work order that you'll see that comes into play with email and text messaging as well. Okay, so we've taken in the job and it would be saved obviously to our work orders right here. In fact, I'll go ahead and I'll do it. We'll just save it and you can see it's going to populate back here. There it is. I've got the window pulled up here. Obviously, most of the time you're going to be closing out of that, and then your technician is going to log in here. This is all accessible because it's a cloud-based software. They can have their own computer pulled up or tablet, or from their phone, they can pull this up. But your technician would come in, they would be able to filter their jobs to see what's assigned directly to them. You can see this one has two. Joe and Riley are both working on this one. They would just pull it up here and they would start performing the work. Really, they wouldn't need to pull this up unless they need to see what was on the job, what needed to get done. And then really the big thing here is they're going to status the job as appropriate. Okay. So as they're working on the job, they'll just want to mark it and where it's at in the process. Again, the idea here is this is so that everybody at the store can be on the same page. Okay. So they'll want to make sure that they've got this, that they're doing this proactively. This is one of the things that it's hard to enforce as a store owner, but it makes a big difference for customer service. Okay. So if somebody does need to call in, your customer service agents or reps can, again, just look at that master list and give the customer a heads up as far as what's going on. Okay. So I really encourage your technicians to be proactive on their setting status. Okay. Status setting, even better. Okay, there we go. Finally got it. Okay, so they would just want to come in here and identify kind of where they're at in the process here. And that's going to change the information back here as soon as we save it. Now, one of the really cool parts that has received a lot of really good review and feedback is what happens when you select ready for pickup. So the technician's done the job. They've gone in there. They've added more materials that they use. Maybe they need to put it on hold because they're waiting for parts to come in. All those things, they've worked through that in our scenario here, but let's say it's ready to go. They'll mark it as ready for pickup. What happens is at this point, they'll go ahead and they'll save it. And then you can see what the system does. It tells you, hey, we've saved the work order, but more importantly, this gives you a chance to notify your customers. So right here, you can select or deselect these, but this is going to give you a chance to send out some notification to the customer. Hey, your instrument's ready for pickup. Come on in and pick it up. Okay, so you can go ahead and you can click send, and it's going to fire out the text and the email. We are going to skip that today. And then really the next step is when the customer actually comes in, you'll want to move this to the register. Now there's a couple, I do want to say there's kind of a couple lines of thought here, or trains of thought. There's some functionality in the system that's kind of cool that some stores use, but not everybody uses it. So we'll talk about it right here. So what a lot of stores will do at this point is they will actually, even if the customer's not there to pick up, it's just ready for pickup, they will actually move it into the register like we're going to do. So you'll see it's going to pull up Tyler Roten and it's going to pull in the information about the work order. And this is unique, but we're seeing a lot more of this in the system. They'll actually come over here and then they will sell this on account to the customer. Okay, so they'll say, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to invoice it. And just like that, they've marked it as essentially it's an account receivable at this point. Now, the reason why they do this, a lot of stores are doing this now, is because this gives the customer the ability to log on to their customer portal on the website. They would see their open doing essentially what that's done. That's created an open invoice for that customer. On the customer portal, the customer can see their open invoices, so they can actually pay for that invoice before they come in and pick up the instrument. Okay. So stores have just wanted to give customers that option to secure that money quicker. Um, and a lot of that has to do with how they pay out commissions and just getting the revenue in faster. There's a lot of reasons why stores are starting to do that more and more often. You definitely don't have to do that. If you're not comfortable with that, there are some byproducts that are a little bit more difficult to manage now. The system thinks that that work order is done and complete, and for all intents and purposes has been picked up. Okay, like if we, in fact, we were able to, we'll do it. I'll kind of show you here. We'll go back into work orders. Um, Essentially, that's gone, right? It's showing up as complete. Now you can always come in here and you can set this to show completed, and we will see in our list. There it is, right there. Okay, so it's completed. It's been invoiced and everything like that. So that's one of the challenges of doing that is essentially you've told the system, yeah, the work order is complete. Okay, it's been invoiced. So just be aware of that. That's one of the byproducts is you've really got to stay on top of hey, yes, it's invoiced, um, but it hasn't been picked up yet. So just keep that in mind. That is one of the challenges of doing that. But for some stores, they like the trade off there. They'll manage the pickup separately, and they just want to get that revenue in a little bit quicker. Customers like it too, just be able to go in and prepay, and then they just walk through the door and pick up their instrument and they're out, right? So just be aware you do have that option. Most of the time, though, the way that most stores are doing it, I'll move this back here. We'll get rid of the completed. So this Mars Lynch one, we'll pull this one up. So again, we'll move this to ready for pickup. Say we've got parts in, we'll move it to ready to pick up and save it. What the normal flow for customers is going to be is Mars. Then, it's the system has sent out a text and email saying, hey, time to come pick it up. Mars comes in, walks in to pick up her item. What your associate would want to do is they would come back into the work orders and they would pull up this ready for pickup. They can do this out of the customer profile as well, but they would just simply mark add to register. And at this point, they can go ahead and they can collect traditional payment on it, tap, chip, or swipe, take cash. They could, again, sell it on account here if they'd like to do that as well. But that's it. That's pretty straightforward. There, like I said, there's some really cool stuff coming out. Being able to create special orders from the work orders. So like if you're missing a part and you need to get it ordered, being able to just fire that over into a special order and get that order from the vendor, that's coming pretty quickly. But thanks everybody for hopping in, and we'll get some announcements and reminders out next time. We'll have a bigger crowd, and look forward to chatting with you again. Have a good day, everyone.